Yes, it is streaming live on YouTube.
Excellent. I hope it is public.
Yes.
Excellent. I will also get to the record button.
Yes.
Record on the computer, right?
Yes, it has begun recording.
Excellent. And where is my screen? Okay, excellent. Namaskar. Suswagatam. And a warm welcome to each and every one of you from my colleagues at V1 Untamed Earth Foundation. We are happy with your response. And what I found very particular was it is from different parts of the country, thanks to the web. And it just tells us how important this particular topic, which is going to be deliberated, is viewed by each and every one of you. We are also going to have this webinar recorded. It is being streamed live on YouTube. And I'm very happy that it's being introduced to all of us by two dear friends of the Untamed Earth, Dr. Gurudas Nulkar and Dr. Ajit Gokhale. As we go ahead, I'm going to give a brief backdrop of the foundation and our activities. Where is my screen? Is it open? Yes. A quick glimpse into the activities of V1 and how we have come to the present state. तर तुमच्या सगळ्यांचं पुन्हा एकदा स्वागत. And before we go ahead, I just wanted to talk about this. Our heartfelt tribute to the frontline corona warriors. Friends, remember the threat is real. Take care, stay safe, follow precautionary measures. It's the new way of life, at least for now. And in fact, that's how we are able to meet on the web. Welcome to the V1 Untamed Earth Foundation and biodiversity, environment, and us. Just about precisely describes what we are, what our objectives are. We are Mumbai based and we work towards the conservation of biodiversity and environment, mainly through awareness and education. Our premises are very simple. It's the respect for biodiversity and acceptance of their equal rights to coexist. Embracing environment-friendly lifestyle, but very importantly, our role as guardians of our biodiversity heritage for our future.
Excuse me, doctor. Screen is not seen. Screen is not seen.
Screen is not seen. Why is that? Why are we having this problem? One second. Ram Prasad?
Yes, sir.
You cannot minimize Zoom when you're recording the meeting. Okay, fine. Screen share. Screen share. All right, I said share. Oh.
Yes, now it has started.
Okay. How did we get stranded there? Okay, fine. Yeah.
Sir, before you start, you can also undertake that mute all option with an enable, yes, so that you will have minimal disturbances.
Okay. And show. Let me go to Zoom. Meeting controls. Why am I not able to go there? What do you want to do? A sincere request to all the participants to be on mute, please.
Yes.
Not able to get that. Okay, we'll go ahead.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. So I was just talking about our role, and this is what we believe in, and this is what guides our activities. Since we all belong here, the screen is visible now, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, good. So since we all belong here, each one of us can and must contribute to the cause of conservation based upon our individual skills. And we believe that awareness is 90% solution and education is the key to that solution. Our focus is the individual. So learning, sharing, evolving, which leads to a change within is what we seek. And this has paved way for our interactions and activities, which are across age groups and stage groups with audiences from diverse backgrounds in an urban as well as a rural context. The focus is conservation, and there are many parts to this objective. For us, there have been lectures, there have been exhibitions, field trails, nature clubs in schools, workshops, projects, etc. And they are in an urban as well as a rural context. The nature clubs have been in schools. This has been the focus for the citizens of tomorrow, wherein they get closer to their own environment with various activities. The lectures and presentations go to, like we described earlier, diverse audiences across age groups and stage groups in an urban as well as a rural context. We also utilized the street play, which was with participation of the inmates of a Mahila ashram to take across the message of cleanliness. There have been workshops which combine composting and urban farming to offer a complete solution, at least at an individual level. Gradually, the lecture series began, and the topics touched different aspects and different subjects of our natural world, and they were addressed by experts. However, there are a lot of citizen scientists, and we have been featuring such individuals in our meets routinely over a period of time. Our exhibition on biodiversity and environment was specially created for school children and has been taken around to different locations, which began with the Science Fest at a municipal ward in Mumbai. And it will be available should anybody desire it. We created a campaign to ban plastic, and it was taken to the consumers in the local market, including the neighboring shops. The field trails are essentially to reinforce the learnings from our lectures, and we focus on exploring our neighborhoods and diverse biodiversity hotspots of Mumbai. Community tree plantation gave us an opportunity to take part in the greening of our own community and neighborhood. However, we believe that the journey to a greener planet can begin with one plant step at a time. And it is also an amazing introduction to our urban biodiversity, but at a macro level. A talk on the All India Radio, predictably again on biodiversity on environment. Documentation and presentation, especially a heraldry of all the places in a place like Dadar, which we've been tracking over 3 years. And the findings were presented on an appropriate platform like the conference of Maharashtra Pakshimitra. We also reported sightings of unusual and rare visitors to our neighborhood, like the peregrine falcon or the nesting of spotted owlets or hornbills or a shikra in our area, mainly to create awareness of our urban biodiversity, but also the importance of conservation old green tree cover. Since we met last is a small little aspect that we talk about our recent program. It was long time back in December 19, Sagar Maza Sakha, to celebrate our oceans and their rich diversity, which was with the support of the board of the municipal corporation. And we had varied activities to involve people and individuals of different age groups and stage groups. So we had a drawing competition and a rally for oceans by the children. And all these activities were unfolding on the beautiful backdrop of Girgaon Chowpatty. There were lectures by experts, there were students' poster presentations, there were films on oceans, and all this was at the iconic heritage Wilson College Auditorium. Dr. Gurudas Nulkar was one of our esteemed speakers during the event. We had an exhibition on our marine world, again on the backdrop of Girgaon Chowpatty, and we are grateful to countless photographers who contributed their stunning images, not only from the shores, but deep seas. The shore walk and the beach cleanup was especially to highlight the beautiful diversity of our marine life, but also to draw attention to the pathetic condition that we have created on our shores. The sand art was rendered by students of different art colleges from Mumbai. This was one of the attractions during the Sagar Maza Sakha program, and one of the, how do I say, most popular events ever to have happened on Girgaon Chowpatty. It was widely reported in the press. We are very happy that we could do it. Then followed the web presentations. A lecture on the World Environment Day for the Thane Obstetric and Gynecological Society. Another lecture during the family meet for the Rotary Club of Kharghar. And the last webinar on indigenous seeds. I would suggest, to get an idea about this very beautiful topic, please visit our YouTube channel to listen to the President Girish Sohani and Sanjay Patil, who are working on this particular project on behalf of BIO. Our exhibition on oceans was to be taken to different locations of Mumbai and our coastal areas. But should anyone desire to host that exhibition, we'll be more than happy to bring it to them. Ladies and gentlemen, as the sun sets, we look forward to a new sunrise and the dawn of that day when things change as we continue on this beautiful journey of conservation with all of you. We invite you to join the Untamed Earth as citizen scientists. Do like, follow, connect with us on Facebook. We are at the Untamed Earth. You already have our email. And ladies and gentlemen, with this, I welcome you all once again to the seminar today. And I will now request Dr. Gurudas Nulkar to come in. But before he comes in, I would like to formally introduce Dr. Gurudas Nulkar. He is a dear personal friend and a very dear friend of the Untamed Earth. He's a professor of management at Symbiosis Center for Management. His research and teaching interests are sustainability and alternative economics for a sustainable planet. He has a PhD in environmental management in industry and a postdoctorate as the Endeavour Fellow of Government of Australia. He's also the Sir Ratan Tata Visiting Fellow at Institute for Social and Economic Change, Bangalore. He is trustee of the Ecological Society and closely associated with Pani Panchayat. He has authored 3 books and several research papers in international journals. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Gurudas Nulkar. Dr. Nulkar, over to you.
Thank you so much. Can I share my screen?
I need to stop sharing my screen.
Yes.
I think I have. I have stopped. One second. Let me check. No, I'm stopped sharing.
You have to stop sharing.
I have done.
Tell me when you can see mine.
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you so much, and I really appreciate Vivant, the Untamed Earth, for inviting me again back for this particular thing. This is something which is very close to my heart, and I like to talk about water footprints because this is something which, in our urban day-to-day life, we do not easily see it. You know, it's largely ignored by a lot of people, and that's why. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Fine. So where was I? Yeah. So yeah, this is something which is close to my heart, and therefore I will. I usually like to talk about it. Right. So today's session, I would first introduce you to the topic, you know, what it means. Then I'll introduce you to the concept of water footprint. And then I'll take you to, we'll do a very quick back of the envelope calculation of a water footprint. So, you know, it's very easy to see. Then we will understand what is the water footprint of our food, which is because that's the most important aspect of fresh water. And then we will look at virtual water flows. What do I mean by virtual water flows, and what is it that's important? And finally, concluding with reducing our water footprint. You know, what is it that we can do? What is it policy needs to do? What is it we can do as community? So it'll cover a lot of these sessions. So first and foremost, introduction is about the water footprint. What is it? So if you look at freshwater supplies on the planet, and also for India, let me be specific to India. You will realize that our primary economy is entirely based upon fresh water. You know, if there is no farm produce, then there is no economy. If we are not able, if there is one monsoon which fails, then the entire country is going after the aftermath of this particular thing. So thus, you know, fresh water is what our Indian primary economy is completely dependent upon, and it's like that for each and every country on the planet. So that's something which we must remember. Second, over the last 100 years, the aggregate demand of water has been increasing. Now, aggregate means sum total of that. However, it's not just because of population, but it's also the per capita demand of water has been increasing. So aggregate demand can increase because of population rise, which is fine, because that's proportional to the population rise. But the issue here is the per capita demand is increasing, and that's what is causing the concern. Then we will also have noticed that the climate change is affecting precipitation as well as temperature, as well as soil moisture, and all these things which are related to fresh water. And
कौन कितनी इस जगह
के वो तो थे मेंबर वाज है मोटी गाड़ी ले हम
somebody needs to mute.
दूर करना रही मुझे को कोई ब्ला ब्ला का रिटर्न अगर
Hello, can someone needs to mute? I don't know. Competing demands of households, agriculture, economy. That's
मूव बटे रिटर्न दे को ब्ला ब्ला का कोई मल्टीवेटर
Mr. Vikram Gulecha, please mute.
Actually, the host can mute all if possible.
Yeah. Dr. Shevde, can you mute all? I will unmute myself again. Hello? Right. Okay. Then if you look at the Indian scenario, the Indian scenario, we will notice that we have over 5,264 large dams and thousands of minor irrigation dams, which are called as the MI dams, and these have dried up our rivers. So we have done a lot towards increasing the supply of water. However, there is a natural limit to increasing the supply of fresh water, and that natural limit is about the precipitation. How much rainfall are you getting? And that will dictate how much water you can store. Therefore, when our dependence on water goes far above the precipitation, then we have to depend upon the groundwater supplies. And that is something which has happened over all these years. So our groundwater consumption has been increasing. And for every new dam that we are building, there is a diminishing return for increasing the supply side. So thus, to summarize, the fresh water demand is increasing because the per capita water consumption is increasing, and the fresh water supply is relatively shrinking, which means we don't have new dams every year. So that means, and the rainfall is diminishing compared to the growth rate in the water demand. So thus it is increasing. And that, what it has created. We are on the verge of war with Pakistan on the Indus Water Treaty. We have had internal disputes between Tamil Nadu and Karnataka over the Kaveri waters, and this has been so bad that the Tamilians and the Kannadigas were fighting each other like India, Pakistan. And ASSOCHAM estimates a loss of 25,000 crores to Karnataka, which is phenomenal, which is just because of fresh water disputes. And thus, there is something wrong with the consumption of fresh water. So we are going to see about what is wrong with the consumption of fresh water. So I asked some of the people in Pune, and I did this on Facebook. I put a question on Facebook to people in Pune city: is how much do you think you consume water? And I'm doing this as a bilingual PPT because I keep doing it for other people also, where it's better to be talking in Marathi. By and large, people thought that they are consuming around 75 to 100 liters of water. However, the average Punekar gets over 150 liters per head. That's from the Pune Municipal Water Supply Corporation. So we are getting over 150 liters. Now, the problem with getting 150 liters is this is not equitable. Some people get 200 liters and some people get 5 liters. Some people are not able to get once in a day, and some people are able to get 24 hours a day. So there is a high inequality and inequity in the distribution of water when it comes to Pune city. So where does the average Punekar use water? He uses it for drinking, he uses it for bath, washing, cleaning, gardening, flushing, and so many other things. So flush has become a huge consumption of fresh water today. And if you look at all the new houses which are being built in Pune, almost all of them will have one Western style commode, which is called as a WC, and all of that is with a flushing system. So even for a normal urinal, we use over 3 to 4 liters of water for flushing, and all that is non-consumptive water. So it's just ending up in the Ujni Dam in Solapur. But this is just the direct use of water, and there is a whole lot of indirect use of water which we will talk about today. And what is this indirect use of water? Can we measure the indirect use of water? And for that very purpose, this concept of water footprint is put forth. And what is water footprint? Is that everything that we wear, what we buy, what we sell, what we produce, what we eat takes water to make, right? Each and everything that you see around you. In this room, I can see so many goods. Each one of them has consumed water, which means each one of them has embodied a water footprint in their manufacture, in their consumption, and in their disposal. So a water footprint can be measured for a product like jeans. I can measure the water footprint for a pair of jeans. I can measure the water footprint for a crop like rice or wheat or soya or bajra, whatever. I can measure water footprint for an organization like Tata Motors, like Infosys, like Vivant. Each and every organization will have a water footprint. Water footprints can also be measured of a nation, which means for India, we can calculate what is the water footprint of India. Right? And that's not the same as water consumption, because like we said, water consumption is about direct water use. But there's a whole lot of water which we use, which is not direct, which is indirect. And a lot of this indirect water is coming through imports. And I'll talk about this when we're talking about virtual water flows. So coming to the second part, what is a water footprint? And the water footprint measures the amount of water used in the entire life cycle of goods and services. And I'll explain this with some examples that we're going to talk about in the water footprint. But the water footprint is not just one single number. It has got three components in itself. Component number one is the green water footprint. And that measures the water which is used from rainwater, which is precipitation, humidity, soil moisture, everything which is coming from the hydrological cycle. The second component of the water footprint is the blue water footprint, which is the surface water. So which means the water used from rivers, water used from lakes, water used from dam reservoirs, or water used from groundwater sources, which means bore wells, deep wells, dug wells, open wells, all of those which are below the surface of the water. Right. And the third component is called as the gray water footprint. The gray water footprint is the amount of water required to dilute pollution. What that means is, suppose Pune is letting off 1 TMC of sewage in the Mura-Mutha river system every day. Now, this 1 TMC of water has got a lot of pollutants. It's got phosphates, it's got nitrates, it's got sewage, it's loaded with a lot of other components. How much water, fresh water, do you need to add in it so that it gets diluted, which is suitable to reach ahead of that? Now, this is a hypothetical component. We never add the grey water to Pune sewage. So it just goes and flows into the Ujjini Dam as is, right? So every water footprint will have three components: the green, the blue, and the grey water footprint. What you would perhaps have noticed easily is that green water footprint is about renewable water. So it's the hydrological cycle. It's the water from precipitation. So that part of that component of the water footprint is not as bad as the other two, because the other two are the ones which are going to deplete the water resources. So whatever blue footprint you have, whatever gray footprint you have, you're actually taking off water from surface water or from underground sources, and you're putting it ahead. So that's something which is non-renewable. So calculating the water footprint, just to give you an example about what I just discussed about the gray, green, and the blue water footprints. So let's take a pair of jeans. What would be the water footprint for a pair of jeans? You would need to calculate the farm inputs. There's a lot of cotton which is grown for it. And every farm input, including manufacture of tractors, fertilizers, insecticides, pesticides, the seeds, all of that are what are called as farm inputs. Now, every farm input in their lifetime has consumed fresh water. Okay. So one is understanding what is the fresh water consumed. Second is the cotton irrigation. What is the water consumed for irrigating the cotton cloth? Third is cotton transport, processing of the cotton, cloth making and dyeing, manufacturing the jeans, and washing the jeans. So all together, if you put all of that, then you will get the water footprint of jeans. However, this part, the cotton irrigation, a lot of water is green water footprint, which is rain-fed cotton farming. We do not have much of that, but in some areas we still have cotton farming, which is rain-fed. So that water is renewable. But other than that, if there is a blue water footprint to it, which means it is being irrigated by a dam or a reservoir. Calculating the water footprint for the rice is similar, so you have to take the farm produce, you have to take the irrigation, you have to take harvesting, storing, preparing food, all of that. So that, again, the green and the blue water footprint is coming for the irrigation part. Some parts of India are totally rain fed. Some parts of India are totally irrigation fed, which is they're getting water from surface water. So if you look at all the crops, you will see that the largest water footprint is of wheat and rice, which is paddy, maize, fodder crops, चारा शेती आपण ज्याला म्हणतो मराठीमध्ये, which is for feeding animals, soya beans, sugarcane. Contrary to expectation, sugarcane is lesser consumer of water than rice. Paddy is the highest consumer of water. However, a lot of paddy farming in India is done on rainwater, so that's good. So you don't need fresh water sources there. Barley, so on and so forth. Okay, so now we'll actually go to calculating a water footprint. We'll see how to calculate a water footprint. And I have purposely taken up a very popular, ubiquitous urban drink, which is the Coca-Cola can. Now this can is of 300 ml. So if you look at the can, it will say it's got 300 ml of Coke in it, right? And that's the classic Coke. It's not the Diet Coke, it's not the other Coke, but it's the standard classic Coke. So let's calculate the water footprint of a can of Coke. How much do you expect this can of Coke to have consumed water? Now, I would have asked this question if we were actually facing each other, and that would have been nice, because we would have got a lot of opinion from ranging from 1 liter to sometimes audiences say that it's about 100 liters or 1,000 liters, so on and so forth. But let's look at how much water footprint is of Coke. So 1 liter of Coke requires 1.92 liters of water to manufacture this. And I'll show you all the sources where I've taken this data from, which means that if you're bottling Coke in Coke's plant, they will need it for washing, they will need it for adding it to the Coke, they will need it for all other consumptive uses. And that is 1.92 liters of direct water consumption in the Coke factory. Thus, a 300 ml can has got 576 ml of direct water. Yeah, you just divide this by 300 ml and you'll get that figure. Second, if you look at the can of Coke, it will say that it has got 33 grams of sugar. 300 ml can of Coke will have 33 grams of sugar. We know for sure, there's a lot of research which tells us 1 kg of sugar to manufacture in India requires 2,250 liters of water, right? And I'll again show you some of the sources that we have. So in this can, there are 33 grams of sugar, which means there is a 74.25 liters water embodied in this can. The third, this can uses aluminum and steel, of course, but let's just look at aluminum. And there is 14 grams of aluminum in a 300 grams of steel. And from Nalco's website, I saw that to make 1 kg of aluminum, you require somewhere around 88 liters of water, which means a 300 ml of can will require 1.2 liters of water. Now I'm ignoring water used in the Coke powder. I'm ignoring water used in ink, this red colored ink. I'm ignoring the water used in transport, in chilling. When you're having a cold drink, there's water consumed at the retailer. I'm ignoring all of that because it's very difficult to figure out, how much that water is. It's impossible to that. So even if you add these 3 things here, you will notice that we get 76 liters of water per can of Coke. For a 300 ml can of Coke, we have already consumed 76 liters of water. Now that's phenomenal. So where have I taken this? And it's very easy to see. I've just pulled this out from Coca-Cola India, and Coca-Cola India says here 11 grams of sugar for 100 ml of the liquid, of that brown colored liquid which we drink. Coca-Cola company shows in their water efficiency report that they are using water more efficiently. Wow. So here it is, by 2017, they've started consuming only 1.92 liters of water per liter of Coke. And the last is what you see in Live Mint, which Fonde, who's a scientist at the Vasantdada Sugar Institute, he says that it takes between 2,000 to 2,500 liters of water to produce 1 kilogram of sugar. And I've quoted all the sites where I've taken this from. So it's very easy to see. This is all public data. You just need to pull it out and then add it up and multiply it by 300 ml, and you will see what you have. Thus, when a housewife easily picks up a 2 liter bottle of Coke from D-Mart or Big Bazaar, she is actually picking up 506 liters of water, right? That's a huge amount. And look at this. I just pulled out this came up on 2nd of March. Coca-Cola India sells 1 billion cases in 2019, hopes to double business in 5 years. Wow. That's good. They're going to double their business. So, and this, I pulled up Coca-Cola's report to tax authorities in India, which defines a unit case as 5.678 liters of water. So 1 billion cases into 5.678 gives you so many liters of Coke. I don't even know how to pronounce that word, right? It's so huge. And this is just Coke, which they're selling. So now we need to multiply it by 253 liters of water. And that will give us a phenomenal amount of 50.3 PMC of water, which Coke has consumed in just 2019, just for their manufacturing activities. Amazing, right? And look what happens here. I just pulled this news out fresh out of the oven. 24th August 2020. That's about 4 days ago, 5 days ago, right? Remove colas from sin tax. IBA, Indian Beverage Association writes to Finance Minister, GST Council. What that means is, Coca-Cola and all the beverages are today taxed at 28%. And these people are not happy that you're taxing it at 28%. And they are saying, this is not sin tax. This is something which is a necessity. People in India crave for Coca-Cola. Why are you imposing such a huge tax to it? So we want that away. We don't want that. So that's a strong lobby. And I don't know, I'm eagerly waiting for the GST and the finance minister judgment on whether they are going to remove this. If they're going to remove this, we really need to respond in some way that this should not go. So just open your refrigerators. The urban refrigerator, if you open it, you will see a huge amount of water. I can see literally 2 or 3 swimming pools worth of water in this particular refrigerator. Right? If you look at that, one glass of beer will have 75 liters of virtual water. Glass of milk, 200. Cup of coffee, 140. Glass of wine, 120. A sheet of paper, 10. So on and so forth. You can look at this, amazing amount of water which is there consumed by the urban fellow. So now coming back to my question, how much water does a Pudekar use, right? And the commonly understood way of looking at water consumption is I cannot drink more than 4 liters per day. Bathing, I will need about 50, cooking 4 to 5, washing 10 liters, cleaning 10 liters, flushing 30 to 40. So overall, my consumption will not beat 110 to 130 liters. Hang on. There's a whole lot of indirect use. And that is about food products, that's about industrial products, and that's about services. Right? So only 3% of direct visible use is seen by the average Punekar and the Mumbaikar, of course. 97% of water is not visible to them, right? I have not even calculated dam evaporation. There's a lot of evaporation which happens to the dams there. And so we eat around 1,500 to 4,000 liters of water. We wear about 20 to 50,000 liters of water. We ride 25 to 1,000 liters of water. Everything has consumed water. And the second question is how much water, after I looked at how much water does a Punekar consume, we would also like to know how much water does Pune city receive naturally. And that is through precipitation, that is through rainfall. So we get water in the Panchet catchment, we get water in the Varasgaon catchment, and we get water in the Temgar catchment. And this is only sufficing the direct visible use, which means we are a net borrower. An average Punekar is a net borrower of water from catchments from all over the country. If a pair of jeans is being made in Ahmedabad, I'm borrowing water from there. If I'm importing basmati from Punjab, I'm borrowing water from there. So this is what we do not see. This is the invisible water use, and this is something which is not seen by the average urban thing. So my question is, why don't we feel the pinch of the water footprint? What prevents us from understanding this water footprint? That's because of the spatial differentiation, spatial difference between where the resource is extracted or produced and where it is consumed. Take an example of sugarcane. Sugarcane is produced in Ahmednagar district. There would be sugar processing mills which are in Ahmednagar, somewhere around there, and the consumption is happening in Pune. Look at olives. Olives are made in Spain. The oil is extracted in Italy, and a pizza, it's used on a pizza in Melbourne. Okay, Melbourne doesn't make any olives. So the Melbourners will never feel the pinch of the water which is consumed by olives. Or cotton is grown in Vidarbha, denim is produced in Ahmedabad, and the pair of jeans are bought in Leh. There you are, so this so much of a spatial differentiation, it's impossible for a Punekar or a Melbournekar or a Mumbaikar to understand how much water he is borrowing and consuming from other catchments all across the world. I'm precisely using the word catchments because it's all about rainfall. We do not have any other source of fresh water other than the hydrological cycle. And thus, it's important to realize that some catchment in the country is lending their water to our consumption. Okay, yeah. I'm still good, 23 minutes. Yeah. So water footprint of food. Let's just look at very quickly about water footprint of food. And my question is this, again, so these are some of the questions which I ask if when we are face to face, but unfortunately in the Zoom meeting, we are not able to be face to face. So is water footprint relevant for agriculture? शेतीसाठी जलपद चिन्ह उपयुक्त आहे का? Look at this. If you look at this table, wheat has consumed 2,100 meter cube per ton. The global average is 1,827 meter cube per ton. And I'll explain to you why is this difference during the last part of my presentation. Rice has consumed approximately 3,000 meter cube per ton. Maize has consumed 2,500, but potatoes 291, so on and so forth. Is this important? It is, of course, important. However, which part of this is important? Again, we'll have to go back to the slide which I showed you earlier. There's a green water footprint, there's a blue water footprint, and there's a gray water footprint. The green water footprint is the completely renewable source. It's coming through the hydrological cycle. Nature is giving back the fresh water to us. The blue water footprint is the one which we need to be bothered about, because that is coming from surface water, which means dam reservoirs, and groundwater, which is the bore wells and the open wells. So the question we need to ask ourselves when we see this table is, how much of blue water does rice consume? How much of blue water does supari, areca nut consume? And supari is largely grown in Konkan and a little bit in northern Karnataka. However, most of supari is rain fed, which means it is using green footprint. So that's fine. Okay. Yeah, look at that. And this is a very nice table. Where have I taken this from? Yeah, this is also from Aryan Hextra's paper. Now here, water footprint per unit of weight, nutritional content, and water footprint per unit of nutritional content, which means sugar crops, there is no protein, 0 protein grams per kg, right? And if you're going to divide 197 liters by 0, it should actually give you infinite. So there's a mistake here at this table. This is not 0. Infinite amount of water is required for sugar if you calculate the amount of water per gram of protein, because there's 0 protein in sugar. Vegetables, so on and so forth. You can look at that. Pig meat, bovine meat, very high. So 112 liters per gram of protein, which is coming into our diet from bovine meat, which is beef. Fortunately, we don't eat too much of beef in India. This is a very high content. So if you look at this, pig meat, butter, it will give you all of that. UNESCO's World Development Report says that India is the largest extractor of groundwater in the world. 54% of India's groundwater wells have declined over the past 7 years. We all know that. We read this in the news every day. I just wanted to show it in front of this table, because a whole lot of food, especially horticulture, is not rain fed in India. A lot of horticulture is perennially fed with irrigated water, and that's a huge problem for the Indian thing. So water intensive crops, yeah, there you are. Rain plus surface, perennial crops. Yeah, floriculture is a perennial crop, and it completely always every time uses surface and groundwater, unless you're talking about Shevanti and the Srechaveska, the Jhendu. So Jhendu and Shevanti largely are grown on rain fed, but other than that, all the exotic fruit, exotic flowers like gerbera and anthurium, all of those are grown on reservoir fed water. So there you are, the water footprint of food. Which is the biggest culprit? And how would you guess? It's chocolate. Yeah. Chocolate uses the highest amount of water in its life cycle, 24,000 liters per kg of cocoa grown, or sorry, of chocolate produced. It's not about cocoa, but it's about chocolate, because that includes sugar also in it. 18,000 for coffee. I love coffee, and so many others like coffee, but coffee has a huge water footprint. Look at that, banana, lettuce. This will tell you exactly about what is that. Coming to virtual water flows, and I want to show you about what virtual water flows are all about. This is a concept which was introduced by John Anthony Allen in 1993. Now, this is a professor in King's College of London, and he was working in Israel, and he noticed that Israel is a drought-prone country, and a large part of Israel is a desert, and yet they are never water deficient. So he was looking at their water practices of storage and supply and so on and so forth. But he stumbled upon one idea where he saw that these guys were importing water intensive crops from outside. They were not growing any of the water intensive crops in their own country, right? So then he proposed, when a country exports water intensive products, it also exports the volumes of water embodied in them. And this was the founding concept of water virtual water flows are. And John Anthony Allen said, Jordan and Israel reduce export of water intensive crop. In fact, they are importing the virtual water, which is a very important source for Israel as well as Jordan, because both the countries are importing. If you look at the global virtual water trade, just look at this. India is a dark green, which means we are a net exporter of water. Who's the net importer? All these dark red countries, basically the European countries and the Scandinavian countries. And of course, Singapore is a huge importer of water. But all these countries, they are virtually importing water. And how are they importing? 67% of that is imported through crops. 33% is imported through livestock products, and only 10% through industrial products. So whatever mobile phones and all we are buying from China and other places, that is not as thirsty as crops are. And that is something which we must understand. So of the virtual water trade, 30% of virtual water trade is coming just from one single grade, and that is wheat. 17% is coming from soybean, and almost all of soybean, well, not almost all, significant amount of soybean is used for animal farming, right? It's very important to remember. Rice is consuming 15% of the virtual water trade, and so on and so forth. In India, sugar, wheat, rice, maize, many of the crops are cultivated on irrigated water. They are not just on rain-fed supplies. We have just simply grown. When there's a dam in a drought-prone area, most of the farmers will shift to a water-intensive crop, which is tel biyana, which is oil seeds, or which is maize, or which is sugarcane. A lot. Vidarbha, sorry, not Vidarbha, Marathwada has shifted a lot to sugarcane because of these huge dams which have come up there, especially Jayakwadi and Paithan Chaitla. This water export is economically invisible and politically silent. Nobody in political circle is going to talk about this. Only thing which we will hear is Pune city's demand of water is going up. Somebody is demanding more water in Baramati, so on and so forth. But they will never talk about the virtual water export from Maharashtra. And I have a paper which I can share with you, which I've talked about how much water Maharashtra has exported virtually in 2018. And that's something which is a shock to us. Finally, reducing our water footprint. What are the things which we need to do for reducing the water footprint? And they're very simple things. So first is we have to understand what influences the water footprint of a nation, right? So we will very quickly look at what are the factors which affect the water footprint of a nation. And the first and foremost is the lifestyle. What kind of demand for goods and services do we have? Are we demanding extremely water intensive products? Are we demanding extremely water intensive crops? That decides about what is the water consumption, one of the most important factors. So the developed countries where there is a large number of affluent people, their lifestyle has changed over to a lifestyle which is consuming a highly water intensive product. Right? Luckily, we are not so in India. The second thing is the food habits, khadya samskruti. Primarily vegetarian diet will reduce the water footprint of a nation. On the other hand, primarily meat-eating countries have a very high water footprint. Like I showed in the earlier chart, right? The bovine meat, the pig meat, the goat and sheep, mutton, chicken, all of that are very high water consumers because they are using grains to feed the animals. The third thing is the climate. What kind of climate we have. Now in India, we just have monsoon for about 3 to 4 months. The rest of the year, it's dry and hot. And that involves a lot of evaporation, which happens from India's farms. and water retention in farming is very difficult there for the farmer. So Scandinavian countries, countries in Northern Europe and Northern America are much better in terms of temperature and lesser evaporation. So they will be able to retain soil moisture for much longer amounts of time than some tropical country like India. The fourth is the water efficiency in food production. This is very important because our farmers use exceedingly inefficient water irrigation techniques in Indian farms. The most important is that very few of Indian farmers use drip irrigation or spray irrigation or anything of that. Almost none of the farmers use mulching because mulching will cover the soil and it will reduce the evaporation. But all these practices are not followed by Indian farmers. Why they are not followed? There are historical reasons for that, and the Ministry of Agriculture has not made it this communication program that farmers realize that mulching is very important for that, so on and so forth. And the last one is the virtual water export. How much of food crops and food grains are you exporting out of the country? Now, these 5 factors will decide what is the water footprint of the nation. Luckily for India, we are good on lifestyle and food habits. Primarily vegetarian diet. In some places in the Northeast, we have a primarily meat-eating diet, but the population there is also lower. If you look at the high-density population areas, much of them are primarily vegetarian in there. The demand for goods and services is not as high as it would be in Europe or in the affluent, in the developed countries. So to that extent, these 2 factors are on our side. Unfortunately, all the 3 other factors are against us. Our climate is intensely hot for a very long time. About 3 to 4 months, we have intense heat, which removes the surface water and it creates evaporation in reservoirs and dams, on flowing water in rivers and all of that. Our water efficiency in farming is very poor. So we don't, like I said, we don't use mulching, we don't use drip irrigation. We do, while Maharashtra government, right from Devendra Fadnavis's time, they have encouraged drip irrigation practices and they have given subsidies. Less than 7 to 8% of farmers in Maharashtra are using drip irrigation today. And virtual water exports, like I said, are politically silent. Nobody wants to talk about that. We are very happy when Maharashtra exports sugar. We are very happy when we are exporting Nasik's grapes to some European country, or bananas from Jalgaon, or rice from Konkan. We are virtually exporting water. And thus, if you look at India, we have only 2 factors which are on the plus side, and we have 3 factors which are on the minus side. Now, a very large part of this is coming from the virtual water export. If we are able to reduce the virtual water export, see, remember one thing, the farmer is not gaining anything from food exports. The only profits which the only person who's getting the profits from exports are the merchant exporters. The ones who are sitting in Kolkata, Delhi, Mumbai and exporting grain and food grain, they are the ones who are getting profits out of exports abroad, not the farmer. He doesn't care where his produce is sold. He wants cash immediately. He's willing to sell at the to the middleman who comes and purchases it from his farm. So thus, it really doesn't make sense to any of our farmers. They are not getting any richer from the virtual water export. The only people who are getting rich are the ones who should not be getting rich in the first place because they already have a lot of money. So finally, how can we achieve water security for India? And so there are 2 things I've broken up. One is for the individual level. What is it that we can do individually at the household level? Of course, first and foremost is direct water. We must stop all the water leakages, inappropriate use, washing cars every day. So much of everyday direct use of water we are doing blindly. That's just because we are getting a lot of rainfall today. Second, of course, is refuse and reduce water intensive products. Think about all the products which are there in your refrigerator. Think about all of that which you are using today. Which of that has consumed a lot of water in its manufacture? Can you reduce that? Can you refuse that? That's the first question. And if you cannot refuse, then can you reduce it? Choosing farm produce over industrial food. Industrial food is chips from McCain. potato chips and stuff like that, cornflakes, that has already consumed a lot of water. These are all factory produced foods. But if you choose farm fresh food like grains and pale bhaji and fruits, then they have only consumed water in their manufacture. They have not consumed in the secondary operation. Using products for their full life cycle. Now, when we buy a phone, we want to change it every 6 months because Android operating system badal gaya, I can't download that app, so on and so forth. But that mobile phone already has a lot of embedded water in it. Can I use it for 5 years, 6 years, or the life of the product? That will save a lot of water. Right? Conserving water by rainwater harvesting is very important, and a lot of people are talking about it. Reusing water wherever possible. We do not do that at all. And this should actually be made compulsory in all the corporate buildings. Why do they not have grey water and fresh water separate plumbing lines? They're investing so much on the aesthetics and the beautification of the building. Can they not be made to invest in the plumbing cycles? This is very important. No politician has ever thought about making it compulsory for these large, mega office structures to be reusing water. Then about the policy level, crop choice, which should be based on rainfall and climate. We have completely forgotten it. Crop choices today are based upon the market demand. If somebody wants strawberries, the farmers in Mahabaleshwar will happily stop producing what they have and they will start producing strawberries because there's a demand for strawberries, and strawberries and water intensive crop. Water efficiency, drip, spray, mulching, all of these are techniques which must be used in that. Industrial foods, reducing the manufacture of industrial food is something which is very important. On the other hand, we have always been very happy to say that Pepsi has now 5 plants for manufacturing chips in India. Lay's has got 5 more plants in India. We're very happy. We are beating our chest and saying the Ministry of Industry is beating its chest and saying Pepsi has invested 600 crores in chip factories in 4 other places. We are very happy with that. The next part is about exports of crops. Can we minimize the export? Like I said, the farmers are not gaining from it. What is the point in exporting all this food? We can as well consume it within our country. Food habits, primarily vegetarian, reducing dairy is very, very, very important. There is just no way that our water problem can be solved if we ignore the dairy industry and the growth in the dairy industry. If you look at the last 10 to 15 years, a significant amount of milk is being diverted towards the production of paneer and cheese. Now, these are products which the affluent can afford. These are not products which the poor in India can afford. So, which means we are skewing the distribution of natural resources more towards the richer class in society than the poorer. So, this is something which is important to look at. And finally, water pricing. Now, that is a subject which we have largely ignored in Indian politics. That's because water is a very sensitive political subject. You can gain votes and you can lose votes based on how you present your water policy. So if somebody talks about increasing the price of water, then there'll be a big halla gulla in the entire country or in the state. But water pricing is something, and the country of Singapore, which does not have fresh water sources, they get rainfall throughout the year, but they're all surrounded by the sea. So they don't have too many freshwater lakes and far less underground sources. They have managed to reduce their water footprint simply by improving the pricing of water. So this becomes a very important thing in that. Right? So this was the last part which I wanted to say. And the last, there's one more thing which actually I forgot to write on the slide, and that is removing the information asymmetry in the market. Today, there are a whole lot of people like you and me who want to buy less water intensive products. But for the love of God, I cannot tell whether A mobile phone has consumed less water than B mobile phone. So can Indian government as a policy make it compulsory to write on the label the water footprint of the product for each and every product which is made in industry? It's as simple as that. That will remove the information asymmetry. People like you and me will know exactly which shampoo has consumed more water and which toothpaste is consumed very high water quantity. We can look at all that and then we can make our choices. So reducing the information asymmetry in the market is very important to a way of reducing the water footprint of an entire nation. Right? Okay, so I'm done here and I'm stopping. So 45 minutes, Dr. Shevde, I did it exactly 2 minutes before the time which you've given me. Yeah, and I have written a couple of articles, Pani Nakki Murtai Kuthe in Marathi, Jalapada Chinna and Apasi Pani, Thirsty Crops and this appeared recently in Current Science. And also in my book Anartha Shastra, where I've written on water footprint and how it is not included in policy, ecology, equity, and economy. Also talks about water and water policy in India. Right, so I'm done. Thank you so much.
That was a fabulous lecture, Gurudas.
Thank you.
I decided not to speak at all, at least for a minute, to allow everything that you have spoken to sink in to its fullest, and then talk. I
Okay.
think we will allow that to happen, because this has been insightful, very impacting, and we are going to think. That was the whole objective. Now, Gurudas, I don't know whether you will be able to hear the sound of the virtual applause. But
Yeah.
it is there. It is
Thank
there.
you. Thank you.
It is
No
there. It is
problem.
there.
Yes.
This
Yeah.
has been one brilliant, and
Thanks.
we are very happy. We'll come to why we decided to choose this particular topic. There are a couple of questions which I wanted to pose right in the beginning, but we will take them a little in the end, because they are going to be answered, and I'm sure the questions will be there in everybody's minds. Now it's the other way around. The answers have come, and they will now pose the questions to themselves about their acts and deeds.
Yeah.
So, Gurudas, Nulkar, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much. And I'm sure all the participants and all those who are listening on YouTube live will definitely echo these sentiments. We will have a couple of add-ons, and now we will move on to the second part of our program today, that is Dr. Ajit Gokhale. Once again, thank you so much, Dr. Gurudas.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you so much. It has been absolutely wonderful.
Yes. Thanks.
Thank you so much. And Dr. Gokhale, I trust you're also ready. Yeah. So a formal introduction of Dr. Ajit Gokhale. He's founder and leader of Natural Solutions. He is a PhD and a special with a special course on water and watershed wastewater treatment, conducted by Cranfield University School of Water Sciences. He has a diploma in environmental management, and he is also with a certification which is ISO 14000 NET and SET. An independent and interdependent scientist who has satiated thirst of 200 steep slopes, hard rock geology villages in several states. He has also set up several million liters per day of natural sewage treatment, needing least operation and maintenance. This is something that we are looking forward to. Somebody needs to mute, please. Please. He has helped farmers in making their lands absorb rainwater. Established in 2003, Natural Solutions, a scientific and technical consultancy firm with following vision and mission. The vision is to help Mother Nature in healing herself, and the mission is to support eco-friendly initiatives. He has also executed projects in India and abroad with an invitation basis only. Ladies and gentlemen, we are very happy to have Dr. Ajit Gokhale with us for this particular session. Dr. Ajit Gokhale, over to you.
Thank you, doctor. I suppose I'm audible?
Yes, you are.
Good. Thank you. Now I'll try and put
Yes, you are.
presentation also in place. Thank you, Dr. Shevde. And thanks to Dr. Gurudas Nulkar. Presentation was absolutely to the point, quite in time, and it was fabulous. You covered everything of water footprint which could have been covered. Now I'm going to put it on full screen. After that excellent presentation by Dr. Gurudas, we'll be talking about cities, floods, environmental smartness, and facing the future. In 2003, we started Natural Solutions with this vision to help Mother Nature in healing herself, to help eco-friendly initiatives, and to spread environmental literacy. What Dr. Gurudas did is actually a good lecture on spreading of environmental literacy. So far, we have established projects of various kinds in these locations on invitation basis. This is some example. This is a village called Malghar Dapti in Taluka Zawar of district Palghar. This well had no water on 5th January 2011. This same well, in the same year, 11th March 2011, had so much water. Between January and March, it doesn't rain. Thanks to our learnings in geology, our learnings in civil engineering, our learnings in working with people, we could do something to this well in January and February so that in March, it got so much water. Like this, we helped over 200 villages. We also do something like this. This is the transformation that we achieve from this black, dirty, smelly water to clean, good water. And this treatment system is treating 15 lakh liters, that is 1.5 million liters per day since 2011. This photograph is in 2012. These are the friends who make this transformation possible. These plants and the bacteria and the fungi and the earthworms and other soil organisms which we introduce into the system or which we invite into the system help in making that black water transparent. And this system, within a couple of years, develops to such an extent that you can relax on it. And my friends, this is sewage treatment system. In case of mechanical sewage treatment, you can't stay there for more than a few minutes. Here on this system, you can actually reside. It's treating 15 lakh liters per day naturally. This is T.S. Rahman, and the glass panes which you see are actually windows of dining hall. And what greenery you are seeing here is the sewage treatment plant. This is something that we do. This is in Andhra Pradesh, in a place called Oneness University. They had a place which had 10,000 liters per day during weekdays and 70,000 liters per day during weekends. And we set up a treatment system for them using these plants. The system worked very well. And then they called us to actually replace this mechanical system. And we could replace it with a garden that gave them flowers as well as treated their sewage. Here also, on weekdays, they used to get 50,000 liters and weekends 3 lakh liters. No mechanical system can take up such variation. Only nature has that flexibility which we use for benefit of ourselves, mankind, environment. We also did set up a rural wastewater treatment project in a village called Dhikoli in Bagpat district in western Uttar Pradesh. This is a nala that carries wastewater from large area, and this is the treated water that comes out of the system. From 2014 onwards, I've never had to visit this village again. The treatment system is functional without any intervention needed from our end. We also help people in rejuvenating ponds and lakes and rivers as well. This lake was grossly eutrophicated. You can see the surface is covered with water weeds, hyacinths, and many different kinds. And after restoration, this is how it started looking. These things,
Please mute yourself. There is a disturbance here. Please do that right away. Thank you.
right?
Sorry,
No
Dr. Gokhale.
No issues, no issues. So this is something which we love to do. Oh, let's get back again. And these here are the results of Symbiosis Hillside Campus read-bed system. What is marked here in green circles is BOD, biological oxygen demand of the treated water without chlorination, without sand filtration, without carbon filtration, just read-bed outlet, less than 10 ppm.
Who's this?
It's okay, doctor. You could mute all. I'll unmute myself.
Yeah,
again.
I will do that. I will do that. I have muted all.
It's okay. It happens.
Yes. Now, will you unmute yourself, please?
Sure. Then
Thank you.
back again to presentation. So this is the BOD level of treated water. And here we are treating composite sewage, which means we have bath wastewater, toilet wastewater, kitchen wastewater, laundry wastewater, all sorts of wastewater. Now, this is a little repetition of Dr. Gurudas' presentation. Is there any difference in the rice bowls which we see here?
No.
All these rice bowls and this sugar.
No.
But if we see the sources, the Western Ghats, the Eastern Coast, and Punjab and Haryana. In Western Ghats, rice is grown in falling rain, which Dr. Nulkar says is green water footprint.
नहीं मेरी नहीं वो सामने से नहीं आ रही.
In Eastern Coast, it is the canal water. In Punjab and Haryana, it is underground water which is pumped from 1500 feet underground. Similarly, sugar, Indian sugar is irrigated sugar, whereas Mauritian sugar or Brazilian sugar is rain-fed sugar. This type of source also decides what kind of water footprint a product would have. Now let us see these lamps. Any difference in these lamps? Can't be. I've just copied one bulb in 3 places. But they are receiving power from different sources. Illumination is same, power consumption is same, but the source of power is different. Now what happens then? Which one do you think will have least water footprint? Hydro, thermal, or nuclear?
Nuclear.
Nuclear will have least? Probably as water it will have less, but as disposal of waste uranium, it could be very high. Let's see the next. Thermal and this is nuclear.
Oh, okay.
which one will have least actual wastage of water?
Hydro.
Generally, people think it is the hydroelectricity which wastes least water because it is water which transforms from one height to another level. So no water is actually consumed. That is what people have in mind. Really speaking, this is something that happens. In the Western Ghats, Maharashtra, Karnataka, Kerala, we have these rivers which are east flowing rivers from Godavari to the Periyar. And what we do for making hydroelectricity is we dam these rivers and we cause them to turn westward because on the western side there is greater gradient. So we generate electricity on the western side of Western Ghat on the east flowing rivers. So actually we are reversing the rivers. And this reversing the rivers causes drought in Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Tamil Nadu. This session of ours, which is consuming electricity, is causing drought in eastern parts of peninsula. We are actually causing drought in eastern coast. Similarly, urban houses, the house in which I am living, the house in which most of you are living, it's all built of cement, steel. Both of them have very huge environmental footprint. Dr. Gurudas, I suggest something, coin a term called red water footprint. Along with green, blue, and gray, the water that goes into energy should be termed red water footprint wherever we are diverting the water flows of rivers. And it is absolutely essential to understand this because just by normal living, we are killing somebody. No great consumerism, yet we are taking away somebody's water. Now we'll talk about why do we have waterlogging in cities. Let's see what are cities. One city, lovely, beautiful, high rise, nice. Another city, daytime. One more city. These cities all have one thing in common. No open spaces, no open soil, because soil is dirty. So it is either pavement or concrete building. This is what our city. Now let us visit some of these cities and understand what they faced. This is Nashik. This is this year's first flood news. On 12th of June 2020, it flooded in Nashik, part of Nashik. Beginning of rains, first shower, it flooded. Now this is something which we need to analyze, understand, and repair. This is Jaipur. And what you see below is a cross section of Jaipur. You can see it's nicely sloping area, and yet Jaipur flooded. This is not Mumbai or Chennai, this is Jaipur. It flooded in large areas just couple of weeks before. If Hello, Ram Prasad, can I show video now?
Yes, sir. You have to.
Will I have to stop sharing?
Yeah, you have to enable the computer audio actually when you are sharing the screen.
All right. Sorry. Strange. Is my screen visible?
Yes, sir. But the video is not visible, sir.
Video is not visible. Now?
No, sir.
No.
I think it is better to stop sharing and again start sharing.
Okay. Sorry, friends. I have to.
You may have to go to Zoom again and then yes.
Stop sharing.
While start sharing, you have to tick the audio.
Yes. Share computer. So.
Yes.
Flowing through city or Jaipur. Huge water. People actually got blown away by this water. Is this screen visible now after the video?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right. Yes.
So that kind of flow in Jaipur, it is not water on the streets. It is the street on a stream. There was a stream earlier, 30 years ago. On that stream, development happened. And with that development, people forgot that someday it might rain, and when it rains, we'll have issues. That was Jaipur. Now this is Nagpur. A full-size bus is almost preparing to become a submarine. And this is Amchi, Mumbai. On the right-hand side, there is 2 feet water. On the left-hand side, there is not so much water. Because our road divider is a dam. And we share this with Toronto. This is from Toronto. This crane is standing on the left-hand side and lifting a car on the right lane, which is dammed by a very nice, perfect, strong road divider. See? This side there is no water, the other side half the car is underwater. This is Chennai. Chennai has 3 rivers, which used to drain rainwater, flood water to the sea very quickly. So Chennai was never a flood-prone city. But then, in 2015, over 300 people died by drowning in city of Chennai. This used to be a nice water body in Chennai. Then what happened? Because it rained less, because some water was diverted somewhere, the lake dried partially. Then a developer came, bought that land, and very legally developed it. It is not illegal. Mind you, legal is human. environmentally right is nature. And this nice development is actually in a pond in Chennai. And then when it floods, people keep cursing the government agencies, people keep cursing the Chennai Municipal Corporation that they did not clean the drains properly. Sorry, it is not just drain cleaning, it is cleaning of mindsets. And that is what is essential. People say illegal construction, choking of water courses, badly planned, unimplemented projects. No. Nicely planned, implemented, environmentally wrong projects can also cause disaster. There is something more to it. You see these large blue patches? They were water bodies. Then they were developed on. Then they were developed on further. Then they were developed on further. These developments in the wrong places is cause of city flooding. And very nicely, strongly built water, these road dividers also could be causes of flooding. These are all cities in various parts of world, and these numbers are the cost of flooding damages. New York will face $2 billion flooding damage. Amchi Mumbai will face $6.4 billion. Kolkata will face $3.3 billion. These are going to be the flood damage costs. Do we have so much money? Can we afford so much hardship and trouble? When you start searching for causes of flood, you get to know several different reasons why it floods. Heavy rains, overflowing drains, broken dam, this, that. There is no mention of biological causes of flooding. Can it flood because of biological reasons? Is there any animal which can cause flood or a plant which can cause flood? If I tell you absence of microbes, absence of earthworms can cause flooding, then it's actually a cause. I showed you first city flooded in this year's monsoon was Nasik. Let us go to a tiny video again and I'll show you how biological cause of flooding can happen. Is my screen visible? Ram Prasad?
Yes, sir.
Right. I'll try and open this. Will it remain visible? Or I'll have to. Is it visible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yellow screen.
Yes, sir.
2011. March
and this is going to be participatory. You guys are going to have to talk to me about this. You guys see any difference in the soil? What would be some differences that you see?
Light and dark.
Light and dark. What do you think would cause that? Organic matter. What if I told you that these two soils were taken 20 feet apart? Would you believe me?
Yes.
20 feet apart. This one has been in, this is from the Coshocton Research Farm. It's been in no-till for 52 years of continuous no-till. This one has been, this is a car length away and it has been tilled for the same amount of time. And so what happens when we till? Well, this looks like a piece of concrete. You can see very little pore space.
The soil lump in his hand, right hand, looks like piece of concrete. The other lump, which is darker and softer, is like sponge. Now this is because of difference in tilling practices. The white concrete-like piece was tilled for 52 years, tilled with tractors, and agriculture was done with insecticides, pesticides, weedicides, everything. The other piece is hardly from 20 feet distance, 20 feet horizontal. And now, when he puts these two soil lumps in water, you will see what happens. He invites two farmers to place the soil lumps in water. The farmer with orange shirt has black soft sample, and the farmer with blue shirt has hard concrete like white lump of soil. See what happens?
Kind of place it, and let's do it at the same time. 1, 2, 3. Okay, what do you see immediately happening? What's going on here? It's falling apart. There's nothing to hold those soil particles together. It's simply collapsing. Within seconds, it's collapsing. Now, if there were rainfall on here and
concrete-like piece is collapsing, the soft piece has remained intact. This has biological reason. There is no life in the concrete-like piece, whereas there are life forms, bacteria, fungi, earthworms in the black organic live soil. When it rains on the hard concrete-like soil, the soil particles get removed and they flow. If you have seen WhatsApp messages which circulated a couple of weeks ago, there were auto rickshaws and there were cars and there were doors of houses and shops which were under soil, 2.5 feet, 3 feet, 4 feet soil. It was the soil in Jaipur which was removed from one place. It moved with that huge fast moving stream and got deposited in areas which are low lying. So this is what happened. This is biological cause of erosion. Absence of bacteria, absence of fungi, absence of earthworms, absence of other soil dwelling organisms and plant roots cause erosion of soil and also flooding. This gentleman, he took the same soils and made them into a rain experiment. Like earlier, the sample on our left is hard concrete like soil. The sample on our right is black soft soil. On these soils, he causes rainfall.
okay, so it's starting to rain. I did this in Salina a couple weeks ago, and they had 4/10 of an inch of rain since June, and their corn looked about 2.5, maybe 2 feet high, and it looked.
Can you see this here? My screen visible?
Yes, sir.
There is
Yes.
There is this water flow.
Yes.
And there is no water flow here. Now keep on watching at the base of this trough here.
Looked like it was all curled up, looked like pineapples. We did this demonstration, and I asked them if they got an inch of rain tomorrow, where would their rainfall go? Would it go into the soil where they need it for the crops, or would it run off? Okay, and we had a few farmers that were, I could tell that if they got some rain, they would hope that it went into their soil. So what we see happening here is the water's just about through the system. It has dissolved some of the phosphorus that's on the surface, and the tilled soil has done just what this did.
Water ran off from here and came into this trough. Water percolated from here and went down below. This flow of water is the flood which we saw in Nasik. It is not just Nasik. Practically every river in peninsular India rushed with lot of water flow in first few weeks of rainfall happening. It carried lot of silt with it, which is actually the fertility of soil. And it did not cause any good infiltration into the soil. It just ran off. Wherever we had organic nice soil, this kind of seepage happens. And wherever this kind of seepage happens, there is no drought in the following season. There is no flood and there is no drought. This is biological reason for flooding, and this is biological reason for erosion. This is biological reason for droughts. And this is something which most of the planners, scientists in the conventional system do not understand. This is something which we need to understand and make them understand, so that in future we'll have no floods and no drought. And it is possible to undo this problem which has been done by commercial chemical agriculture. We did it in 2-3 different places. One is Bharatpur in Rajasthan. Another is Veti Murbad near Dahan. These are the places where we changed the way in which the soil surface was managed. We saw to it that there was mulching on the soil. We saw to it that the food for organisms, soil dwelling organisms, was made available. Where the organisms were not there, we introduced some through Jivamrut, Amrut Pani, and things like that. As a result, in these places, it rained and the rainwater went down. It actually went down. Even Dhanu, which is a high rainfall area, in that place, a very near and dear friend by name Mr. Sunit Salvi, he did this experiment on his farm. His farm had very hard murum when he started, and it never gave any water absorption. Trenches were made, but the trenches did not absorb water. Most of the work which is done for water conservation and soil conservation is done on the physical properties of soil. People make trenches, people make bunds, people make gabions, many different things. American says, Watershed Organization Trust says, BIF says, everybody says, and people develop physical barriers for water movement. Alongside these physical barriers, there is need to improve the soil microbial life. When that is done, the physical changes start actually absorbing water. So this is the biological cause of flooding. It rained in Trambakeshwar area. It rained in Anjaneri area. It rained in Trambak Road vicinity. That rainfall, which was to go into the agricultural land there, could not go. As a result, Nashik flooded. All the reports of all the rivers having plenty of water in the first week of rainfall is a sign that the soil is sick. The soil is in ICU. The soil cannot drink water. We need to protect her. When you start searching for flood types, you get flash floods, coastal floods, urban floods, fluvial or pluvial floods. But there is something called upstream flood also, which not many people pay attention to. Making of check dams in wrong places and in wrong ways causes upstream floods. This year, it flooded in Junagadh in Gujarat. Junagadh is not a place for flooding. It flooded because of obstructions in the path of streams. Last year, we have had floods in Sangli, Kolhapur area. People did a lot of satellite study. People did a lot of study from engineering point of view. The main culprit of that flood, apart from the dam mismanagement is a 6-kilometer long filling of a bridge between two villages, Ankali and Manjari. There is a bridge over Krishna River. That bridge, so much part only is on the river. 6 kilometers on this side and 6 kilometers on that side. Sorry, 3 kilometers on this side and 3 kilometers on that side. There is filling of soil for causing ramp over the river. That is the place which started the flood. That is the bottleneck on Krishna which is causing flood. And this information comes from a local resident in that village who is a fisherman and who saved few hundred lives from getting drowned. He said, I am on this river every day of the year. And I see the river and I see its behavior. Till this embankment was not there, Krishna flooded, spread on the sides, and then subsided back again. But after this embankment came, it is not flooding in the way it used to. It is causing something that people call upstream flood. Unfortunately, that gentleman, being almost illiterate, उसे हिंदी अंग्रेजी में बात करना नहीं आता है, तो उसे कोई सीरियसली लेगा नहीं. ये बड़ी शोकांतिका है हमारे देश की कि जो अंग्रेजी बोलता है उसके कुछ सुनेंगे, जो बड़े पोस्ट पे है उसका कुछ सुनेंगे, लेकिन ये जो बंदा कह रहा है ये सही है और उसका कहना सुनना चाहिए, मानना चाहिए. This is fluvial flood. River is there, water comes in the river, its level increases, water spreads by the sides. When the rainfall reduces, water comes back into the river and goes away. This is what is prevented by that embankment of the road. This is flash flood, fluvial flood. It is not raining in this place, it is raining somewhere else. It rains and so much water comes from there that this place gets flooded. There are places which are in sunshine. The river has hardly 6 inches of water. And within 2 hours, that river gets 6 feet of gushing water, which actually drowns and takes away people and cattle. That is flash flood. Extremely damaging. There are third type of flood, which is coastal flood. We experienced this year in Mumbai. First time I heard Marine Drive got flood water. It was not so high a tide. It was the wind which blew so much water onto the road. In addition, there was rainfall happening in the upstream area. As a result, we got Marine Drive flooded. This is what happened. Water was forced ashore. Biological cause. We are causing the damage to Mother Nature's fabric of life support systems. As a result, nature is trying to flush Mother Earth's body. The hailstorms which are happening, untimely hailstorms, they are trying to stop our agriculture, which is wrong agriculture. Huge torrential rains and floods are trying to wash the surface of Earth. Now let us see one more thing. This is Mother India. In Mother India, we have Mother Maharashtra. In Mother Maharashtra, we have Mumbai. And here are the numbers. Maharashtra surface area is 3,07,713 square kilometers. and population is 11.42 crores. Mumbai metropolitan region is 6,000 odd square kilometers, population of 2.6 crores. When we compare Mumbai and Maharashtra, area of Mumbai is only 1.94%. Its population is 22.7%. On such a tiny land, such huge population is coming and staying. Okay, so what? This population eats, drinks, takes bath, wastes lot of water, goes to toilet. The food which it gets from entire Maharashtra and outside Maharashtra, mind you, our food does not come only from Maharashtra. Peas that we get come from UP. Potatoes which we get come from Bihar. Cauliflower, cabbage, carrots which we get come from Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh. The rice that we eat comes from Madhya Pradesh. It comes from Andhra Pradesh. Huge quantities of food are imported into Maharashtra. They are imported into Mumbai. We use them and our waste goes into the sea. Same thing happens in Chennai. Mother India has Tamil Nadu. Mother Tamil Nadu has area of 1,30,058 square kilometers, population of 6.79 crores, in which there is a Chennai metropolitan region. Chennai metropolitan region has 1,189 square kilometer area, residing 1.3 crore population. That is 0.9% of state area hosts 19% of total population. This population is urban population which eats, drinks from Tamil Nadu and outside Tamil Nadu. The wheat that is consumed, the vegetables which are consumed, the meat that is consumed, huge quantities come from outside. And all their waste goes into the sea. This is happening all over the world. Most large cities are on the sea coast. All these large cities are actually consuming resources and throwing their waste in the sea. ये देखिए, ये है हमारी दुनिया और इस दुनिया में है ये सारी शहरें. जो शहरें बढ़ते जाएंगी इनकी पॉपुलेशन सारे के सारे सी कोस्ट. 2025 में ये होगा, 2050 में ये होगा, 2075 में ये होगा, 2100 में ये होगा. और हम पूरी लैंडमास से खाना ले आएंगे और उसका वेस्ट बना बना के समुद्र में छोड़ते रहेंगे. निसर्ग का एक नियम होता है चक्रीयता का. हम ये चक्रीयता को तोड़ रहे हैं और कुछ हो रहा है. ये शहरों को पालने के लिए, पोसने के लिए हमें नदियों को रोकना पड़ रहा है. Only 37% of world's largest rivers are free of dams. Free-flowing rivers are found primarily in Amazon and Congo basin. आर्कटिक में थी, अभी आर्कटिक पिघल जाएगा तो उसका कुछ मतलब नहीं रहेगा. All these large rivers, you can see here, the red lines indicate the dammed rivers. The blue lines indicate the undammed rivers. Undammed rivers are very few and sparse. As a result, we are going to have issues and problems. The most developed country in the world, United States, has 84,000 dams there. These 84,000 dams are damming huge quantities of water. The world is following the steps of United States. So the world over, we are making dams, large dams. If we biologically activate the soils start absorbing rainwater in situ. Wherever the soils are, the water will get absorbed. Irrigation water requirement comes down. This is something which United States doesn't show us. Even in United States, despite of so many dams, there are people who use bore wells and wells. And there are people who wrongly dispose their wastewater. This is a sinkhole, a large sinkhole behind a big bungalow, because they were seeping their acidic septic tank water deep into the soil. The soil was shale, calcareous rock. Over a period of time, the rock became soft, and one night, the rock gave away, and a big sinkhole was formed. United States never showed such kind of images to the world. Oscar ceremony. And like fools, we try to emulate their Oscar ceremony. This is also something which United States doesn't show actively. There is a poll on which it is written 1925. Another thing which is written 1955. Another thing written is 1977. In 1925, the soil was up to here. In 1955, the soil came up to here. In 1977, the soil went down here. My dear friends, this is not erosion. This is not wind erosion. This is not water erosion. This is subsidence. The soil slowly sank of the entire region. So it did not become quick apparent. If this falls like this, you come to know something fell. But if I keep on lowering this 1 micron every day, you will never know that this can move from here to here in a few years' time. And that is what happened. This is happening in India also. It cannot happen in the peninsular India because of the strong basalt which we have. But it does happen in places where there is no basalt. It must be happening in Indo-Gangetic Plain. Certainly in Doaba, where until 20 years ago, 20 feet deep wells had water, 10 feet deep wells had water. Now, 110 feet is the depth of borewell water. 10 फुट से लेके 110 फुट तक इतना गहरा गया है ग्राउंड. And this is something which we absolutely need to stop. तो ये जब ग्राउंड वाटर नीचे जा रहा है तो जमीन ने पानी पीना चाहिए ना, लेकिन जमीन पानी नहीं पीती है, क्योंकि हमने जमीन के ऊपर ट्रैक्टर चलाया, हमने जमीन के ऊपर इंसेक्टिसाइड डाला, पेस्टिसाइड डाला, फर्टिलाइजर डाला, जिससे जमीन के अंदर के जीव हमने मार दिए. तो मरे हुए जीवों के ऊपर फसल हमारी हो रही है, लेकिन उतनी भी नहीं हो पा रही है जितनी पहले होती. उसके लिए ज्यादा से ज्यादा पानी लग रहा है. अब स्थिति ये है कि अगले कुछ सालों में अगर हमने कुछ ठीक से नहीं किया तो ये पानी गहरा जाता जाएगा और गंगा और यमुना में बाढ़ आते आते पानी सब बाहर निकल जाएगा. ये नहीं होना चाहिए. ये देखिए, टेक्नोलॉजी और डेवलपमेंट के साथ साथ हम बहुत बड़े खिलवाड़ कर रहे हैं प्राकृतिक चीजों के साथ. अरल सी नाम का समुंदर था मीठे पानी का रशिया में, कजाकिस्तान और उज्बेकिस्तान के बीच में. जो सिकुड़ता गया सिकुड़ता गया सिकुड़ता गया, मर गया। उसमें चलने वाली जो जहाज थे वो रेत में धस गए, फंस गए, डूब गए, रेत में फंस गए, पानी में नहीं, रेत। क्योंकि इंजीनियरों ने बहुत ज्यादा डेवलपमेंट की, डैम बनाए भयंकर, डैम बना बनाकर पानी को डाइवर्ट कर दिया, और डाइवर्ट करने के बाद बहुत सारे सालों के बाद उनको पता चला, अरे हमने क्या कर दिया, हमने एक मीठे पानी के समुद्र को मार दिया। लोग इजराइल के एग्रीकल्चर के बारे में बहुत बोलते हैं, झप हो जाते हैं, इजराइल का एग्रीकल्चर बेस्ट है, बढ़िया है, सबसे बेस्ट, यस, बहुत कम पानी में करते हैं, हाँ जी। लेकिन उन्होंने भी एक बहुत बड़े समुद्र को मार दिया एग्रीकल्चर करते करते। ये है सी ऑफ गैलीली, इजराइल में है, हिब्रू भाषा में उसे किनारेट कहते हैं, और किनारेट अभी सूख रहा है। कुरान में लिखा है जब किनारेट सूख जाएगा तब कयामत आएगी। अभी किनारेट सूख रहा है, कयामत आने पर है, क्योंकि बहुत भयंकर मात्रा में पानी निकाला गया है ग्राउंड वाटर से। एक ही नदी है जॉर्डन नाम की, वो ऊपर से चलती है, सी ऑफ गैलीली में आती है, उसे भरती है, वहां से निकलती है और डेड सी में जाती है। अभी जॉर्डन का फ्लो ही रोक दिया है, वो नहीं मिलती डेड सी को, क्योंकि वो नहीं मिलती सी ऑफ गैलीली को इजराइल का वाटर सक्सेस, इजराइल का एग्रीकल्चरल सक्सेस। और एक चीज देखिए, ये बढ़िया है, मस्त है। कौन सी फैक्ट्री है भाई साहब? केमिकल, पेट्रोकेमिकल, पावर जनरेशन,
Bottled water.
बॉटल वाटर,
Yeah.
Water generation. Yeah.
नहीं नहीं नहीं, ऐसा कुछ नहीं। ये देखिए, ये जो है ये पावर देती है इनको, इसका नाम है डाटा सेंटर। ये डाटा सेंटर को ठंडा रखने की बहुत जरूरत पड़ती है, बहुत भयंकर गर्म होता है दिमाग इसका। 1 डिग्री सेंटीग्रेड टेम्परेचर उसका बढ़ गया तो अभी हमारी मीटिंग नहीं हो पाएगी। ये हमारी मीटिंग के लिए भी ये डाटा सेंटर इस्तेमाल हो रहा है। डाटा सेंटर में बहुत भयंकर बिजली लगती है उसे ठंडा रखने के लिए, और ये जो प्लांट है ये कूलिंग प्लांट है डाटा सेंटर को ठंडा रखने के लिए। तो हम जब इंफॉर्मेशन टेक्नोलॉजी का इस्तेमाल करते हैं तब भी हम इसकी वाटर फुटप्रिंट को क्या कहेंगे, रेड फुटप्रिंट भी नहीं कहना चाहिए, इसको बर्निंग वाटर फुटप्रिंट कहना चाहिए। ये जो हम गैजेट्स यूज कर रहे हैं, एप्स यूज कर रहे हैं, इंटरनेट यूज कर रहे हैं, उस सबकी वाटर फुटप्रिंट हवाई जहाज की जो इंडस्ट्री है, एविएशन इंडस्ट्री, उसके बराबर है। क्योंकि हम अपने अपने हाथों में इस्तेमाल करते हैं, हम अपने अपने घरों में इस्तेमाल करते हैं, तो हमें लगता है थोड़ा सा है। चार्जर में कितनी पावर लगती है? 3000 एम्पियर, 4000 मिली एम्पियर, 6000 मिली एम्पियर, ज्यादा नहीं लगती। जब थोड़ा 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 करके इकट्ठा हो जाता है वो बहुत बड़ा हो जाता है। इंफॉर्मेशन कम्युनिकेशन टेक्नोलॉजी का एनर्जी फुटप्रिंट हवाई जहाज के फुटप्रिंट के बराबर है। जय हो। ये देखिए क्या क्या हो रहा है। नीला जो रंग है वो नेटवर्क का है, नेटवर्क की पावर कंजम्पशन बढ़ रही है। लाल रंग जो है वो प्रोडक्शन ऑफ इंफॉर्मेशन कम्युनिकेशन टेक्नोलॉजी की मशीनरी और सॉफ्टवेयर का है, तो ज्यादा से बढ़ने नहीं। कंज्यूमर डिवाइसेस, हमारे टेलीविजन, हमारे मोबाइल फोन, हमारे कंप्यूटर, उसकी जो एनर्जी रिक्वायरमेंट है वो कम हो रही है। पहले वॉल ट्यूब थी, उसे ट्रांजिस्टर पे लाए, फिर ट्रांजिस्टर से लिया आईसी पे, आईसी से लिया और छोटी चिपों के ऊपर, एलईडी किया, एलसीडी किया, जो भी किया, उससे उसकी जो रिक्वायरमेंट है वो कम होती दिखाई दे रही है। डाटा सेंटर की रिक्वायरमेंट जो है वो बढ़ रही है, नेटवर्क्स की बढ़ रही है और डाटा सेंटर की बढ़ रही है। और अभी राइट वाला ग्राफ देखिए, 2015 में ये टोटल इलेक्ट्रिसिटी डिमांड थी और ये इंफॉर्मेशन कम्युनिकेशन टेक्नोलॉजी की थी, रंगीन रंगीन। 2030 में ये होगा। और डाटा मूवमेंट देखिए, 1987 में 2 टेराबाइट, 1997 में 60 पेटाबाइट, 2007 में 50 क्या है अर्गोबाइट, एक्साबाइट, 2017 में 1.1 पता नहीं क्या है जीजाबाइट। तो ये सारा जो है ये हम एडवांस्ड लोग इस्तेमाल करते हैं, पढ़े लिखे स्मार्ट बढ़िया। हम अपनी कबर मोबाइल फोनों से बना रहे हैं, ये लैपटॉप से बना रहे हैं, और ये सारा कुछ भी हमारे ट्राइबल बंधु नहीं इस्तेमाल करते। हो सकता है उनके पास अवेलेबल नहीं हो इसलिए नहीं करते, और हो सकता है उनके अंदर कुछ समझ है कि वो इस्तेमाल नहीं करना चाहिए, और आगे जाते हैं। ये हमारे जो शहर है वो क्या प्रोड्यूस करता है, कैसे कैसे? खाना बाहर से आता है, दूध बाहर से आता है, पानी बाहर से आता है, फ्यूल बाहर से आता है, काम करने वाले लोग भी बहुत सारे बाहर से आते हैं। तो हम करते क्या है, यहाँ के पैसे वहां, वहां के पैसे यहाँ, कुछ मैन्युफैक्चरिंग। प्रोड्यूस क्या करते हैं, प्रोड्यूस कोई फूड नहीं प्रोड्यूस करते। अगर सच्चा लॉकडाउन होता ना, सच्चा लॉकडाउन 1 महीने के लिए, तो सारे शहर भूखे। ये सारे लॉकडाउन में हमारे पास हमारे खाने पीने की चीजें बराबर आ रही है। प्रोड्यूसर्स जो है उनके धन्यवाद, ट्रांसपोर्टर्स जो है उनके धन्यवाद, रिटेलर्स जो है उनके धन्यवाद। उनकी वजह से हम और आप भरपेट ये सारे डिस्कशन कर रहे हैं। जब पैंडेमिक होते हैं सही या लंबा वॉर चलता है, तब सिटीज नहीं जी पाएगी। हमने हमारे सारे रिसोर्सेस खा डाले, कुछ नहीं है। ये पैंडेमिक कोई नई चीज नहीं है, पुरानी है। 14th सेंचुरी में लोगों को पता चला था कि ये प्रॉब्लम होते हैं, उसके पहले भी थे, लेकिन 14th सेंचुरी में वेनिस ने पहली बार 40 दिन का क्वारंटाइन लगाया था जहाजों के ऊपर जो बाहर से वेनिस में आते। मतलब आपका जहाज समुद्र में रुका रहेगा 40 दिन तक।
Dr.
अगर आप लोग नहीं, हेलो, टाइम फिनिश,
excuse me,
टाइम इज गेटिंग ओवर।
हाँ, म्हणजे
Okay,
are
yes,
you going to take long because we need
4
some
5 more
time for
minutes.
some interactions. Oh,
Sure,
excellent,
sure.
excellent, excellent. Thank you.
If we had 40 days real lockdown, Dr. Shivde and me and you would not be here. Another thing, 300 million is the global flu vaccine manufacturing capacity. It can be stretched to 600 million, 900 million, but the population is 7,300 million. And these doses will be required every year because the virus has changed. The need is 2,400 times more than the capacity. What can we do? What should we do? For tomorrow, we should really ask yesterday, because yesterday has more experience. Which one is the oldest city in the world? Oldest living city. The oldest living city is in this country, and its name is Varanasi. This Varanasi in 2002 had Ganga, had Varuna in the north. These tiny dots of blue are ponds. This is water supply department. In 2002, there was not enough sufficient water, good quality water available to every citizen. Now it might be because Modi ji is heading the constituency. This was not always. In 1931, there was Ganga, there was Varuna, there was water supply department, newly born water supply department in 1931, and these blue dots were little more numerous and larger also. And there, this also was not always. This is 1822, the time when the Britishers took over India militarily and politically. This oldest living city had more than 70 ponds and lakes made and managed by human hands and brains. These ponds were not natural. No pond is natural. 99.9% of ponds are man-made. And these ponds were made by your ancestors and my ancestors in 1822, till 1822. These ponds gave water security. Largest city, oldest living city, was absolutely water sufficient, not because of Ganga, not because of Varuna, not because of Asti. By the way, there is this river Varuna and there is this river Asti in the south. There were two rivers. In between was Varanasi, Varanasi. See this? Try and find Asti river here. No Asti. Gone. Because we killed, or rather, British revenue system and governance killed the ponds and lakes, we had lost Asti. Even today, Asti is not there. This is what is happening in course of time. From 70 to hardly 40, from 40 to 20, from large to very tiny and grossly polluted. Cities have already come a very long way when it comes to disease prevention. It used to be that living in a city would reduce your life expectancy. They were death traps. This is written in 1840. In 1840, the cities were death traps. So they installed sewer lines, which are going to kill us because we are going to transport all our waste by sewage into the sea. Earlier, the larger cities were not all concentrated on sea coast. They were inland. Their waste used to fertilize the soil around them. Now we are fertilizing the sea and killing it. Modern cities were not designed to cope with life during pandemic, and this upside down way of living has turned them into disorganized array of disconnected bedrooms and studios. What we need to do is seriously think of dispersing city population. By doing that, we will be spread on large land area. Our waste will grow our food. We have done this. In several places, we are successfully growing food on partially treated or fully treated wastewater. We are growing food on wet garbage. So wet garbage is not a problem. Sewage water is not a problem. Human existence is not a problem. Industrial human existence is a problem. Digital human existence is going to be a huge problem. If we manage our groundwater, if we recharge our aquifer, if we biologically feed the soil, we will not have drought, we will not have floods. Thank you very much. Thanks for patient listening. Thank you, Dr. Shivde. Thank you, Dr. Gurudas. And thanks to all participants.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so much.
Excellent.
This is wonderful. Again, like with the earlier presentation, I think we'll allow everything to sink in. And that is when the reactions will start coming in. This has been wonderful.
I suggest you could share these presentations with everybody.
We will. It is already going to be available on YouTube.
Yeah, not just YouTube. I can mail it to you, put it on your
Please
website.
do that. Please
let
do.
people see it.
Please do that.
Let
Please.
people use them.
Thank you so much. I think that is wonderful. How do we describe these two presentations? I wanted to pose a question right in the beginning of this particular program, that how do we value water? Do we value water? The question to be answered was, do we value water? And in fact, ironically, why are we even raising this question? Dr. Gokhale just mentioned that let us ask yesterday. आणि आपण जर का थोडंसं मागे गेलो तर आपल्या संस्कृतीमध्ये आपण जलदेवता म्हणतो, आपण भूमाता म्हणतो. They were never commodities. They were exalted to the status of deities or actual living creatures or living entities. I remember you talked about soil. Just the last webinar wherein Dr. Sanjay Patil from BIF, he created and he shared a very wonderful definition of soil, and he called it soul of infinite life.
Indeed. It is.
When did we turn from that viewpoint and perspective to a mere commodity on which we put a value? I think these questions are going to come up. Both of you have brought out diverse aspects and perspectives of this particular topic in such an illuminating manner that every participant who's here is going to think and act and ponder on these aspects. With this, let us go to a couple of questions which got raised, and I think it got addressed to Dr. Gurudas, and you have already seen that. One was about farm produce. Yes. Dr. Gurudas, did you see that?
Yeah, sorry. Yes, I can see it. So the first question was, wouldn't it be difficult to reduce export of farm produce because it is linked to economical progress and a farmer upliftment? Yeah, so I said that, right? I mean, the export of farm produce is not helping farmers at all. Absolutely no. It is only helping the exporters, and most of them are merchant exporters who are getting help. Second is the second part which was asked is which is similar to this. 1 minute, I'll just read this. If we stop the export of agricultural products, to what extent can we reduce our water footprint? Yeah. So if you look at India's agricultural exports, I think we are exporting somewhere around 250 billion rupees worth of agricultural export every month. 250 billion rupees. I may be a couple of a million here and there, but by and large it's that. Now, if you find out, what we are exporting, the kind of crops we are exporting, you will see that the exporters have got no regard for what crop they are exporting. They will export only thing on which they are going to make money. So we have completely lost the idea of finding out, what are we exporting? Is it making sense to export that? Or is it only going to be looked at as an economic profitable activity? So if you look at 212 billion, 220, 50 billion rupees worth of exports every month, if you look at the composition, and if you look from the composition, if you look at the gray and the blue water footprint, then we will realize how much water we can save. And that's a phenomenal amount. Huge amount of water is being diverted from कोरडवाहू जमिनीच्या villages मधनं बाहेर परदेशात. I'm not just talking about export to out of India, but even exporting from the koradwahu areas, which are the rain-fed areas, to cities. Exactly what Dr. Ajit said, right? We are parasites. As cities are parasites. We are net consumers of resources. Right. So by and large, I hope that gives the answer. And only one thing I wanted to make a comment on Dr. Shevde's question: are we valuing water? And I could see Dr. Ajit and myself saying no, no, no. That's because we do not value water. We price water. We put a price to it, which is a market price, and market price is always dependent upon scarcity. So if a commodity is scarce, its price will increase. Bottled water is scarce, so it can be sold at 20 rupees. Nalka pani is 4 rupees for 500 liters or whatever obnoxious price they have in cities. And so therefore we do not we do not value water at all. It's a market price which we have, and that's called as extrinsic pricing. Intrinsic price of water, we have never thought about it. So that's it. That's what I wanted to say.
Is there anything else? There was something about fish.
Yeah. So how fish eating
Fish
will
and
have
virtual water. Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Correct. So how will fish have? So if you look at sea fish and river fish, that will be all green water, which will be like renewable resource. But that fish cultivation, for example, if you go to any restaurant in Pune and Mumbai, the fish which you get in upmarket restaurants is basa fish, and basa is a cultivated fish. That requires huge amount of water, extremely high evaporation rates, and extremely high feed. So it does not make sense to call fish as zero water footprint at all.
Not even that. In some places, basa, it's synthetic basa.
Oh my God.
The fish that we get as fish in restaurants need not be the fish that is the fish. You get fish from wherever, you reconstitute it and make a pomfret out of any normal raw fish.
Oh my God.
This world of economics is
crazy.
Crazy. It's really crazy.
Incidentally, economics is Dr. Gurudas's forte. And he
Economics
loves
is
these
the
challenges
death
and
knell of
questions
ecology.
which come up, especially when they have economics at their base. And in the same context, eating fish will have virtual water. Exactly. Farm produce came up. I think what happens is when there is a price which comes in, we never really get to see the other constituents, and they're hidden from us. We don't really make payments towards it. The slide wherein Dr. Gurudas shared the water footprint of chocolate, if that is translated into the price of a chocolate bar, I believe probably the Forbes list people can only afford a chocolate.
True.
Absolutely. So I think the point that you again raised about information parity, that we actually get to see what goes into the making of a product, and if that is also taken into the pricing structure, a consumer can make very informed choice. And I'm sure a lot of participants have already stated that the adjectives, of course, range from scary to insightful, and but I'm sure that there are definite points taken. As we come to the conclusion, all that I would like to say is, let us reiterate, all our presentations and programs end with this particular cliche slogan. We actually put our hands up and say everybody together, and we say it aloud: reduce, reuse, recycle. Now we're going to also add refuse. And this is what we do. Just some time back, and when we say this, it means everything together, whether it's water, power, fuel, paper, plastic, also our exchanges on social media. You have brought out that particular point so eloquently. So I think this is one more thing that we need to remember. And Dr. Gokhale, if we just go back, obviously when you consume less, we are conserving more. That is probably one step towards conservation. And if we go back to the beautiful program or the half days program or session that we had with water as our central theme, wherein you were one of the speakers, we had created this water pledge. And in fact, I would like to share this with all our participants. We'll definitely share it with them. Please do that. Please share it with your friends. This will be a beautiful note for us to conclude. And we thank you, Dr. Gurudas, Dr. Gokhale, and of course, all the wonderful participants for their patience and having joined this. There are a couple of suggestions. One was about 10 main points, what to be done in phases. A request to Dr. Ajit Gokhale. And what we will do is we will create this as a stepping stone to certain further activities. And we'll definitely share it with the participants. You have already suggested that your presentation can be shared, and we will do that along with this pledge. And perhaps this is a very good time to conclude the session.
Oh, there is just one question which is asked by somebody upon millets.
Oh, really? It didn't come
Yeah.
up yet.
Can bringing back of forgotten food grains like proso millet and barnyard millet to agriculture will provide a shift of farmers from water intensive agriculture? Yeah, so the very reason why these millets were part of the Indian diet is because they were easy to grow, and they were easy to grow in a monsoon fed climate. Where we had just 3 to 4 months of rain, and rest of the time we did not have rains. आपल्या इथे आजही नाचणी वगैरे असे जे करतात, ज्वारी बाजरी, ह्या सगळ्याला पाणी कमी लागतं. So one is, if you calculate the water footprint per nutritional value, millets will be here. It will be at the highest level, and wheat and rice will be at the lowest level. So it is time that we look at the nutritional value and the water footprint together. In isolation बघण्यात तसा point नसतो. We have to look at both of these. Are we feeding the right food to society, and are we consuming the right amount of water which we are getting from this? So absolutely, you're right. The millets is something which is very important.
Oh, wonderful question. Absolutely. Is there anything else? Did we miss a point or a question? I don't think so. I think there have been some comments which are absolutely complimenting. And shall we read them out? Thank you, Dr. Gurudas. Thank you, Vivant and Temder Foundation and the speakers for such an insightful event. Thank you so much. Scary, insightful. I think those were the two extremes. One was insightful. Everybody agrees that this has been insightful. This is a very different perspective that both of you have offered us to look at water. नळाला पाणी आहे, मी स्वतः आणत नाही, त्याच्याकरता मी मेहनत घेत नाही, त्याच्यामुळे मला त्याची काही किंमत नाही. पण तुम्ही त्याची एक आगळी वेगळी अनन्यसाधारण अशी किंमत आमच्या समोर आणून ठेवली आहे. त्याच्यामुळे एकही थेंब पाण्याचा आपण वाया घालवतोय का ह्याचा आपण कुठेतरी विचार करू, किंवा आपल्या आचरणामध्ये आपल्या वापरामध्ये हा मुद्दा आपण लक्षात घेऊ. आपण अशी आशा करूया. आणि या एका छान नोट, पॉझिटिव्ह नोटवर आपण हे आजचं सत्र कन्क्लूड करूया. तुम्हाला पुन्हा सगळ्यांना एकदा धन्यवाद. सर्व पार्टिसिपंट्सना धन्यवाद. आम्ही असेच येऊ तुमच्या भेटीला. एक छानसा टॉपिक घेऊन येणार आहे जो आपल्या जीवनाशी निगडीत असेल. To translate this into English, we are going to come back to you we will have another topic which will be intimately, closely related to our day-to-day living and concern us in a very different kind of a way. So stay tuned, do connect with us. I'm sure we have a whole lot of new friends today, and we welcome you all to this ever growing family of the Friends of the Untamed Earth. धन्यवाद सगळ्यांना. खूप खूप छान सत्र झाल्याबद्दल थँक्यू सो मच. असेच राहूया एकत्र. स्टे सेफ, टेक केअर, गुड नाईट ॲज वी साइन ऑफ. थोडीशी वॉर्मथ जी आपल्याला खरं म्हणजे हवी होती इंटरॅक्शन्समध्ये, पर्सनल मीटिंगमध्ये यायला, पण मला असं वाटतंय की सगळ्यांना एकत्र असे एकमेकांच्या समोर बघूनही थोडीशी जाणवते अंशतः. त्याबद्दल आपण जरीही डेटा सेंटरच्या वापरामुळे आणि या नेटच्या वापरामुळे थोडंसं वॉटर फूटप्रिंट वाढवला जरी असला तरी मला वाटतं ह्या कारणाकरता आपण तो वाढवला आहे. त्याच्यामुळे आपण स्वतःलाच ह्याबद्दल माफ करू शकू. धन्यवाद. थँक्यू. गुड नाईट.
थँक्यू सो मच डॉक्टर.
थँक्यू थँक्यू थँक्यू. खूप छान. थँक्यू.
अजित सर, थँक्यू सो मच.
Ram Prasad, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Ram Prasad, how do we thank you? We can't. We can't. Now you are a part of the family. We can't thank you enough. This is superlative. Absolutely.
I am also thankful to you, sir, for giving me this opportunity to be part of the family. It's my opportunity, actually.
Now, even if you want to leave us, you cannot. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.